So this is my Honda Acty, and I'm starting to get worried. So just to recap a bit, 3 months ago I ordered my Honda Acty from Japan. We went and picked it up. A month ago when we unloaded it, I took it for one lap of the farm, parked it up, and then did a video where I walked around it, found out all the things that were wrong with it. But actually, now I've got into it, most of it's not as bad as I thought. A couple of bits are not worse, but they're a little bit tricky. Let me show you. So this is what happens when you try and take on about 10 jobs at once. But bottom line is I needed to kind of get into it and start taking it apart to actually realise what bits that I needed and get some stuff ordered up. So if you watch the last video, this was like a load of junk and a freezer and some other stuff down the side. And then this container and this shelving unit was kind of in the middle. So we pushed that down the other end. So that had some space for the Acty, because I knew once I started taking it apart, it wasn't going to go anywhere for a bit. And I was going to be waiting for parts to turn up. And after watching several YouTube videos, I thought I'd tackle getting the covers off, getting the cam belt off. Dog's had enough. Where you go, Rock? Rocky. He's like, what? I've had enough. So I thought I'd get it up in the air, get the cam covers off, inspect the cam belt and all that sort of stuff, which is all under there. I'll show you that in a minute. Have a look in the engine bay, that's in the middle at the top. I also had to wire in a rear fog light to get it through a UK MOT. I've done that in a separate video, and then get a load of bits ordered up from Japan. I've also, as you can see, test fitted this wheel that I bought for my Mazda MX-5, but it stuck out too much. It also sticks out too much on this, but might get some over fenders or just leave it sticking out a little bit. I don't know. That's a 15-inch wheel, that's a 12-inch wheel, and I think they look pretty sick. So the first thing that I actually did was go and get a new battery. Now this was a bit of a tricky one, because most people fit a lawnmower battery, because the size or the spec battery that you get in the UK, or sorry, that you get in Japan, doesn't fit in the UK. So hunted around, loads of people said, oh, you can get one of these and convert it and have it running backwards, but then the terminals are the other end and it's all a bit of a faff. And it's actually an 055, an 054 I think around the other way, but that's getting a bit boring, a bit technical. But yeah, that one fits absolutely perfect, and it fits in the tray as well. So now it starts on the button, which is good. Then I got it up in the air, watched several videos on how to get all the timing covers and stuff off, which is a right faff. Basically there's like a cover here, you've got to unclip that, unclip some other stuff, undo loads of 10mm bolts, get all that out of the way, then undo an engine mount here, drop the engine down so you can get to all these covers, and it's just a right faff. Anyway, when I got into it, the cam belt itself didn't look too bad, although I think it was the original one, because it had a Honda stamp on it and I couldn't find a sticker for a cam belt change anywhere on the vehicle. But when I took the tensioners off and the idler off, they were a little bit rattly. I've got them up here somewhere. So here's my old parts department. So this is the idler and the tensioner that came off. These aren't too bad. This is the idler. Bit of play in the bearings. And then this is the tensioner. A little bit of play in there. And then down on the floor here is the old cam belt, which I think is the original one. It's got Honda on it. I'll be honest, it looks all right. When you try and fold it over and try and make it break, it looks like it would survive. However, once you get to that stage and all the covers and everything off, for, well, 100 quid for the whole kit, idler, tensioner, water pump, everything, it wasn't worth mucking about. It was a little bit more hassle, but it wasn't too bad. So this is the current state. So that's new water pump, new idler, new tensioner, new cam belt. Never done one before, but actually I just marked it all up. Again, I watched a couple of videos on what to do, marked it all up. Once I got everything out, it wasn't too bad. It was a little bit scary before I put it all back together, because if that moves or that moves before you put the belt on, then you could potentially blow it up. But I did turn it over a bunch of times by hand, just on that bolt up there, just to make sure that nothing touched or it didn't suddenly seize, which means that pistons have met valves and then you are going to blow it up. But it seemed to be fine, and then it also started on the button. Next job was in here, so that was plug leads, distributor cap, rotor arm, and then obviously new plugs once these are out. That was fairly straightforward. A couple of these distributor nuts or bolts were pretty crusty, but actually loads of GT85 on there, got it going. Under the back also fitted a new air filter, which is up under there. There she is. The old one wasn't too bad. It's down here. So yeah, there's definitely a few lost horsepowers in there. Also got this brand new coolant tank, because the old one, which is down here, a big old hole in it with a bit of tape on it. So again, I think from the UK these are really expensive, but imported this was about 18 quid. Look at that, brand new. And then I also wired up a rear fog light, which I've done a separate video on, but it's kind of hidden in there. What I didn't want is one of those big aftermarket ones that hangs down there, which looks like a big old testicle and it looks terrible. So I took this cover apart, bought a motorbike rear brake light, I think it was bright enough, really bright, put that in there. Apparently it's got to be a certain distance away from the brake light, which it just about is, so that's all in there. And then when I flick the switch, side light's on first, flick the switch, which lights up, which is supposed to by law, and there she is. She's super bright. Yeah, the main part of the faff was trying to get it set in there, but also you've got to run one wire all the way to the cab. So I earthed this just to a local earth, and then ran a wire all the way down. Here's a bit of it here, runs all the way down, clipped it all to everything, run it all the way down there, and then it comes out here in the cab, runs all the way through there, up under there, and then into this switch here. Now I didn't want like an aftermarket switch that just screws into the dash, so I did a bit of measuring up, found this switch that fits perfectly in this little recess in the dash, in there. I'll clip that in properly at some point, and then it also has to light up for the MOT when it's on. But I did have to take the driver's seat out, which was literally 4 bolts, and it comes out. You also have to get it out because the cabin filter for the air conditioning, I know it's got air conditioning, lives under here, so you've got to take the driver's seat out to get to that anyway. This is what the new one looks like with the gauze in it. The old one, when it came off, literally just had the plastic frame and no gauze on it at all. So before I fit that, actually you need to do a bit of hoovering in there because it's also just all crudded up and manky. Also found lots of straw in here. It's like bits of straw everywhere. So I think it's a farmer's truck, which the fact there was a farmer's truck in Japan and now it's going to be sort of a farmer's truck over here actually makes me quite excited. And then in the middle of all that, I got a few deliveries which I was very excited about. Now the first one was from Forensics John. John, what do you think of the truck?
Mate, this vehicle is amazing. It's cool. It's got a little bit of a rust problem, but we're going to get that sorted.
I'll just drop this down so that'll be a bit easier. Who turned up with all this amazing Bilt Hamber stuff. So massive shout out to John from Forensics Detailing and Bilt Hamber, who I think took pity on the truck, and they've sent me all this stuff to combat the rust, cure the rust, treat the rust, and then under seal it, protect it, cavity wax, we've got under seals, we've got everything. We've also got some fallout remover stuff from them that we're going to spray over the whole bed that hopefully is going to kill the rust and make the whole bed go kind of purple, pink sort of colour, which if that does, that's going to look really cool. I then also got try and drop that. I then also got a delivery from GT85. I tagged them in so much stuff, and I genuinely do use their stuff quite a lot. There's cans of it dotted about all over the place. This one's nearly dead. There's another one that I've already used, and this one as well. And these guys sent me some GT85 and some stickers as well for this and for my Mazda. Because every single bolt before I undo it, I spray GT85 on it because it kind of penetrates in and makes it easier to get it off. And then I also put GT85 on nuts and bolts before they go together because it just makes it easier to put them together. Plus, it's a bit weird, but it does smell quite amazing. Maybe amazing is the wrong word. Then in the middle of taking the cam cover apart, my 10-year-old, 15-year-old Parkside torch that I got from Lidl's died. Well, it didn't die, it actually still works, but it won't charge. So I took it all apart, tried to repair the plug in the back, but it still won't charge. If you plug it in, literally the lights come on and it goes straight out again. So when that dies, that's going to be dead forever. And then the guys at Philips took pity on me and they sent this really cool head torch, which when it lights up, it's not a directional beam, it kind of spreads out, so it's really easy and handy for working underneath the truck. Again, I'll put links to all this stuff in the description below because I'm super appreciative and super humbled that some big players like Bilt, Hamber, GT85, Philips have sent me some stuff to help me get the truck back together. I then also got my delivery from Japan. This is all that's left. This is a big box of stuff. There's actually 2 boxes of stuff. So this is oil filters because I've still got to do the oil yet. Thermostat's got to go in and the drive belts go back on when I put all the covers and stuff back on. But this is all that's left. So this is a big box of stuff that came from partsjdm.com in Japan. Shout out to those guys. I've done a separate video on that. So go and check that out. I tried to get all the bits that I needed in the UK, which would have been more expensive turned up quicker admittedly, but I couldn't get everything that I needed. So I ended up slightly worryingly ordering parts from Japan, but honestly, the communication's been brilliant, the whole experience has been brilliant, and they all turned up in just over a week, which I thought was going to be about 3 weeks for them to turn up. So yeah, 100% recommend those guys. Also saw my good buddy, Sir David North, last week, who has bought me a whole bag of genuine JDM Poundland kind of stuff. He went to the 100 yen shop while he was in Japan, which is about 50p, and bought 10 things for 50p each. So I haven't even looked in the bag yet. I'm going to do a separate video on that probably, about things that he's bought for the truck and if they'll improve it for the best part of £5. Now, a little hiccup that we had yesterday was I popped up to see my MOT man, who I showed him the pictures of the fog light, and he went, yeah, that's fine. And then I said to him, oh, the front side lights are orange. They've got an orange cover. And he went, no, they have to shine clear. So I've got to sort something out. So my next step is to try and find some clear ones of these, which I don't think exist, or get someone to 3D print them, or I don't know. That's next on the agenda. I've also got to fit a new thermostat, which is under here. So I've already drained the coolant, because you've got to drain the coolant to get the water pump off. So the coolant is currently out of it. So I did test fire this once I put a new cam belt on. But obviously you can't run it for too long, it's got no coolant in it. And then I also test fired it again once I fitted the new plugs and the leads, because I didn't want to do it all at once. And then if something doesn't work, you don't know which bit doesn't work. So I did this and it worked, and then I did the top bit and it worked. So the next stage is to get it down to the collecting yard, flush out all the old coolant, because it did look like kind of brown, green, Japanese green tea sort of vibe when I drained it out, and that didn't look that good. So the next stage is flush it all through. I've heard they're a bit of a nightmare to get all the airlocks and bleed them through, because the engine's quite a long way back. The radiator is obviously right at the front of the truck, and then you've got like bleed valves here, bleed valves underneath, the radiator is behind the dash. It's, oh, I don't know, so I'm not looking forward to that. I might go and get it MOT'd and then do all the oil changes. So I've got oil filter, and then I've got to do engine oil, gearbox / transaxle oil, and diff oil. And then obviously I've got to put coolant and stuff in as well. I've got some coolant here, but I might flush it through and put some long life stuff in there, because it just lasts a bit longer. Might do a brake fluid change if I get excited, but again, none of that is imminent. The oil that's in there, I think it's been in there since 2014, so it does look a bit black, but it's only done about 5,000 miles, so it should be okay for a bit. So there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed that little update. Check out my other Acty videos if you haven't done that already. Like, subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll see you on the next one.